Yes, thank you, Laura. With analyst Marshall Ferguson. Looking forward to this one today. The Edmonton Elks won the toss and deferred. So there's Mario Alford, new returner for the Alouettes to get this thing started. And a good return by Alford as he gets it up across the 40. They let go Philip Brooks last week, brought Alford in, and good place to start for Davis Alexander, still unbeaten in the regular season, Marsh, 13-0.
Yeah, 441 yards against the Toronto Argonauts last week, and said that he enjoyed the comeback, but clearly showed that they have a lot left on the table. He wants to start faster here tonight.
Alexander, yeah, 2-0 for the Owls, and comeback victories in week 1 in Hamilton, and then last week at home against the Toronto Argonauts. Here they go, up at the 45, Alexander and the Alouettes against the 1-0 Edmonton Elks, above 500 for the first time since 2019. It's Travis Tice, the running back, injured in the opener, came back last week, and a good pickup on first down.
Alouettes starting offense here. Donnie Ventrelli in a right guard as Cyril Hogan St. Don chips into center after a 6-game injured list assignment there for Justin Lawrence with an ankle injury back in week number 1. I love the fact that Kasim Ferdinand gets a little bit of love here. 2024 second team All-Canadian in U Sports as he comes out of Carleton, and looking forward to seeing whether or not he gets some early touches in this one.
Good gain by Tice, 6 yards, so 2nd and 4. Alexander back to Tice. Travis Tice, a first down. He gets it across midfield into the Edmonton zone with a tackle by Jared Brinkman.
Edmonton Elks starting defense across that defensive line. I think Jared Brinkman has got a huge role to play today as he's got to try and step in the wet, sloppy conditions we got. A little bit of wind. Nick Anderson pushed a bone back through his hand in week number 1 against the Ottawa Redblacks. Stayed in the lineup, and J.J. Ross, he's going to have to work into that boundary and probably flop all over the place on the back end to try and assist with any type of motion and different formations that Montreal will utilize.
Down to the 52 of Edmonton. A pump fake, a throw to the left, and it's caught by Tice for a moment, but couldn't hang on. Took a hit as he was trying to bring it down. So 3 straight plays to Travis Tice, but that'll be a 2nd and 10.
Well, last week it was the flea flicker early on, right? This time they tried a little stock block this time with Hollins on the outside and sneak Tice, the running back, out of the backfield. But Cordell Jackson, not surprising to see him be the one that gets there. Made more plays than anybody in this secondary for the Edmonton Elks last year. And Tice trying to show off the hands, but again, aggressive early on from Montreal Alouettes passing attack. We expected it, we've seen it.
2nd and 10, Edmonton 52, opening possession. The second part of our triple header today on TSN. With time, and no, into the hands and drop. Good coverage there by Tyrell Ford on Tyson Philpott. It falls incomplete, 3rd down.
Canadian on Canadian matchup immediately here, Rod. I love it. You see Tyrell Ford just kind of sitting there squatting, waiting it out. A little bit of miscommunication, which we don't see very often between Tyson Philpott and his quarterback, Davis Alexander. Wondered whether or not a little bit of contact early, but already off and away from Joseph Sima.
The lone returner back for Edmonton's Javon Leake, who takes it at the 14, and then out of bounds around the 20. So we saw Davis Alexander, and next up we will see his old Alouettes. Did that last year, but you know he gets fired up against his old team. Faking the handoff off to the right and a little bit high, as that falls incomplete, intended there for T.J. Luther.
Yeah, trying to get T.J. Luther into the flats this time and open up a comeback route immediately off play action with the comeback from Austin Mack. And you love Fajardo here, the patience that he has, because he's got pressure right in his face from Daniel Wise, and he's one of the most accurate passers in the CFL with pressure on, but high and away, wind, rain, everything else sliding away. But I like the fact they're trying to get Austin Mack into it right away, because he's an honorary captain today. First time playing against his old team in Montreal.
You know, he's fired up, and yes, going to Mack, not Luther on that play, but a 2nd and 10. The 21 underneath, and that is caught shy of a first down up around the 25-yard line, and that's for another ex-Alouette, Keon Julian Grant.
Keon was somebody that I'd like to see get going a little bit here, because he had 7 targets and just 3 catches back in week 1 on the road in Ottawa. So if they can get him rolled into this offense as you start to access a little bit of T.J. Luther, get Austin Mack going as well, I think that's where Edmonton's going to be at their best in the passing attack, but it all goes through the running back, Justin Rankin.
Mario Alford back as a returner with the Alouettes. He was there from 2019 to 22. He has 12 return touchdowns in his career with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. A year ago, stepping out of bounds right there on the catch at about the 38, 46-yard punt. How about Davis Alexander last week? Right from the get-go against the Toronto Argonauts.
I love the fact that Davis is hot from the very beginning of this game, but also before he even came out of the tunnel here today in Edmonton, he's already firing up all of his guys. The way that he plays is so aggressive, is so downhill, and he's got that young Bo Levi Mitchell cowboy attitude of, if I see something I like, I don't care what the coverage is, I don't care what the down or the distance is, I'm just going to attack at all costs.
Their second possession, a couple of carries and an incomplete pass for Travis Tice. And Tice gets his third carry of the ball game. Another good one, bursting through an opening in the right. And good running from Travis Tice again across midfield, and a big first down for the Alouettes.
There is nothing better in wet conditions like this than being able to stay right down the rail. Anytime you can stick it right down that backside, if you get a nice little kick out block and work your way to the second level, when a running back gets a handoff like this and knifes, he's thinking, I got 3, I got 4. Then all of a sudden he's at 10, 12, 15 and running at full speed. That is wonderful up front from the Alouettes.
He has 3 carries for 33 yards so far in this game. And the Alouettes, the Edmonton 53, throwing quickly. Up to the left there to Tyson Philpott for his first catch of the game. He had a big game last week against the Argos.
Staple of the Alouettes early on in football games. Jason Moss wants to get Tyson Philpott the football, and doing it isolated here against Tyrell Ford, running a slant route just to get him a little touch, but you never know, because as soon as you start isolating Tyson Philpott like this, the sluggo is coming, Rod. I'm telling you, at some point they'll be aggressive and try to catch Tyrell diving down to get an interception. And I think they went back to that as well, because we saw in the first possession Tyson ran the slant and caught it. Now they go back and find a different way to utilize it.
And they gain 9 yards, so Dustin Crum is in for short yardage. The former Ottawa Red Black lunges across and does indeed have enough to move the sticks. The drive continues down around the 42 of the Elks.
You gotta love when Caleb Evans isn't available because of injury, and you can just go, you know, let's go get the guy that was the best at short yardage just down the road in Ottawa. Why not?
Crum, of course, quite the story coming in 2023 at Kent State. Started a lot of games that year because of all the injuries, but was very notable for the many touchdowns scored in short yardage, with Alexander back on now. So Montreal's got something brewing here. Down to the 42 of Edmonton. Here in the first quarter, we're early. Play fake to Tice, throwing to the left. Nearly picked. It was bobbled by Sneed, down incomplete. The second down coming up.
Yeah, J.J. Ross, good job of being able to drive on this. Tyler Sneed just lost his footing, but again, I like the concept, showing a heavy look, a couple of extra blockers up front, going with that play action, and then yeah, it's going to be one of those days as well as the new turf here at Commonwealth, maybe playing a small role in that one, but again, just Montreal's ideology on offense. Rod, trying to go heavy, play action, show the run, and then isolate your receivers that you love in Philpott and Sneed.
Second down and 10. Alexander, plenty of time. He's chucking it deep again to the end zone for Sneed. And coming in there is Kobe Williams just as the ball was arriving. So the Alouettes trying to hit him with a big shot, and not that time. Third down coming up.
Love the route combination here on the outside. Again, Marco Dubois in the backfield alongside Travis Tice, adding pass protection as they try to get a vertical shot to Sneed on the outside, and he basically dances Kobe Williams and makes him think he's going to the outside, the corner, maybe running a deep out, and then gets back vertical. And they are going to take shot after shot. Most aggressive team in the CFL early this season on passes of 20+ down the field.
Jose Maltos Diaz now, a 50-yard attempt. He had a groin injury, a game-time decision to play. See if he has the leg. He does indeed, to put the points on the board for the Montreal Alouettes. Perfect so far in the field goal department in Game 3 for Jason of speed and power. Showed that off in Ottawa and has the ball now, but Jeffrey Cantar, getting the start at will this time after starting in the middle of the defense before with a big tackle.
Opportunity for our coup, tremendous as we look at the Edmonton starting offense, and it's Carter getting the start at right guard after the injury to Coulter Woodmansey. David Beard going into center. Mark Cordy still listed as the backup. Keon Julian Grant, I said I'd love to see him get going a little bit early on. They've already targeted him once. We'll see if they can facilitate a couple more touches.
Lost a couple of yards on the play by Cantar Coup, tackling Rankin in behind the line. Fajardo now in a second and long, has time off the fingertips of TJ TJ Luther that time, and incomplete, and it's a 2-and-out as Jake Julian will be back on here for Edmonton.
Tons of movement in the backfield from Cody Fajardo trying to talk things through with his receivers. The end result is just bouncing off the hands, incomplete to TJ Luther. But you can see all of the attention Austin Mack is getting on the outside, just running a little bang route where you run the slant and then back to the sideline, little in route in behind it. Fajardo knew he found the spot, but falls incomplete.
The punt from Jake Julian. Mario Alford getting ready for his third return. Back with the Alouettes now, his first game back with Montreal, and gets tripped up nicely there after a 59-yard punt, and it's Tyshawn Blackburn.
Traffic as well.
Kenny Blaine, legend with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Back in the 50s and 60s is Alexander. Steps back, and he completes that one too, and that's Kasim Ferdinand, inserted into the lineup because of the injury to Jareth Stearns. Kasim Ferdinand out of Carleton. His father, Denny, played in the CFL back in the 80s.
And they wanted so bad to get Tyler Snead on a vertical here. Davis set his feet there, his eyes there the whole way. And then what's great about Davis is that he has the ability to be a fighter where he'll hang on to the football as long as he needs to make the completion. That time fought his eyes all the way back from left to right and finds Ferdinand. What a great story.
A CFL catch for Kasim Ferdinand, but he's off now, and Alexander is throwing to the right, and that is caught by Philpott. It's a first down up near midfield for Montreal, on the move again.
We saw the forecast coming into this game, Rod, and we asked Davis Alexander about throwing in the wet, and he was like, listen, I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I played baseball growing up, all the rest. Look at him rip this thing to the outside as the rain has started absolutely pouring. Like, that's wide side. Yes, I understand that the hashes have been squeezed, all the rest, but from that left hash still to go all the way to the right on an outbreaking route like that as the rain is driving down, he's got these massive mitts that can just put the ball anywhere he wants.
Alexander handing off. It's Travis Tice again. Has had a good first quarter so far. Shorter gain that time as he picks up a couple of yards. You talk about the rain too. Elks can't buy a break. Raining in Ottawa for their opener, although they did get the W.
I will say, for anybody that's been asking online about whether or not I've made a deal with the devil in regards to the weather, I can say that the reports that I have done that are not true, but negotiations are ongoing.
Well, so, I was going to say, you had that preseason game in Hamilton. You had the Elks opener in Ottawa. Now, you could say maybe it's them. They could say maybe it's you.
When it rains, it pours, Ron.
It does. They want it to rain W's, this organization does. They have one. Looking for another one today. Pressure coming on Alexander. He dances around, still on his feet. Wants to take off. He just shovels it off and completes it on the Elks sideline there. So, incomplete pass to the 3rd and 7 coming up here from Montreal.
Yeah, the eyes all over the place, right? Like, just trying to, he starts over here, then he comes back here, and then he's eventually going to go here, and none of it's going to work. So, eventually, you just got to get rid of it. And smart play from Davis to pump and run and get away. And Malik Carney, one of the best players in this defense, also happens to be a tremendous leader since they brought him in free agency. Mark Killam could not be more thrilled to have him helping that room figure out what it means to win.
And 2 returners back for this punt by Joseph Zima. TJ Luther as well, but at the bottom there, it's Leak who wants to let it roll into the end zone, and he does take it down around the 2. Good coverage on special teams by Quentin Arcou to pin the Elks deep in their zone down to their 1. A 50
Cup victory. Fajardo saying that Davis Alexander is a sponge when it comes to the game. His football IQ is through the roof, and Alexander saying that Fajardo is the mentally tough guy you see week in, week out, loves his leadership. And then Fajardo telling us going into this game with a smile, he was very excited to get a crack at giving Alexander his first regulation loss in the regular season, and of course acknowledging how great of a story Alexander has put together early in his career.
Yeah, Tom, was funny when he was talking about it. Hey, maybe he could be the one to end this streak to start the career of Davis Alexander.
It's a poetic league because it's a 19 league with a lot of players that know each other. And Cody, that was not lost on him. That, well, yeah, he's got all these wins, but I might be the one.
So incomplete on first down. Here it is from his end zone on the 2nd down play, and that one just sails out of bounds as well. So a 2 and out again, and they're going to have to punt from their end zone. Down 3 and getting late in the first quarter now.
I think this is the difference that we see in the mentality between Davis Alexander and Cody Fajardo is that, like I said, Cody isn't necessarily a 350, 400, 450 kind of guy. He's not going to fight to the very death to get any sort of completion. He's going to accept the fact that the clock is running out. I will throw it away. We'll play another down. Whereas Davis, you saw in that last possession, yes, he throws it away as well, but he does it after going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to can I run to, you know, it's just a different mentality.
Different styles. Two former teammates. The punt there from Julian is a good one. Down to the 45 of the Owls from Mario Alford, who breaks a tackle, and he gets it across midfield. So again, in this entire quarter, the Alouettes have been able to venture into the Elk zone. They'll start inside. We'll say big this summer and stream the hottest shows, movies, HBO exclusives, and select sports now on Crave. You can scan the QR code on screen and get 40% off Crave with a premium annual plan. You miss reading these?
I got to admit, I thought I was supposed to read it.
Marshall Ferguson.
Got nervous.
Our resident Shohei Ohtani.
Well, you
got a regular spot in the rotation, and now you're taking some at-bats. So.
You keep saying I'm Shohei because I can do everything. I think we need to realize that Shohei Ohtani is Babe Ruth at every position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're doing.
I'd be happy with like a Davis Schneider, maybe.
Yeah. There you go. If you, you can pitch and take a regular at-bat, and I know you've done analysis before, and Grey Cup Radio you did color with
myself and Dustin Nielsen did. It was awesome opportunity to call the game in which Tyson Philpott scored the big game-winning touchdown for the Montreal Alouettes.
The injured player is the long snapper. That is Luke Burton-Cron, injured on that play, the punt and the return by Alford. So he heads off, and it's Montreal football with a 3-0 lead. They're at the Edmonton 52. Under 4 minutes to go until first quarter time. Back to Travis Tice and Noah Taylor coming in, or excuse me, that's Nick Anderson, middle linebacker, coming in with the tackle.
Yeah, great defense from Nick Anderson filling inside, but it was Joel DeBlanco that they were trying to play off here, where Jacob Mason lines up, and he's going to head towards the flats to the right side of your screen. They're trying to drag DeBlanco out of the picture. It's a read for Alexander, where he says, well, if he's going to just stand there flat-footed, I'll give it inside. The problem is, there's a total freak at middle linebacker who's going to jump in and make the play for you anyways.
CFL Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, Nick Anderson. And making the move to the middle. 2nd and 8 now. Right at the Edmonton 50. 4-man rush. Alexander chased out. Rolling to the right. Taylor is chasing him down, but he gets away and he gets to the first down mark as well. Just enough for Davis Alexander to move the sticks again.
And the mobility is so important to his game. He's not going to win a 40-yard dash against anybody, but he knows when and how to use his legs, which again, when you think about the evolution of Davis Alexander as he is going to evolve inside the Canadian game, being able to see him make his way towards the sideline like that very gingerly kind of brings back memories of being on this field previously with the hamstring.
Yeah.
But I do love the fact that he knows when and where to use his legs, and he doesn't necessarily force the issue.
You know he wants to be a little more careful in the slick field here in this rainy day too. And he is back to pass again, and he has all kinds of time. And finally checks it down to Tice, who takes a big hit. As soon as he catches it, it's the nickel linebacker, Kenny Logan Jr., timing it up and coming in and just nailing Tice as he got the ball.
Yeah, Logan Jr. ends up making the stick at the end of the play, but this is a total issue. I mean, it's basically like you can't have a coverage sack, but it's a coverage whap as soon as you hit him in the open field. As Travis Tice, not exactly the beneficiary of just having to make whatever is thrown his way by Davis Alexander, but Logan Jr., a huge rookie year last season, and I love being able to see him come downhill and lay the wood a little bit early on.
In his second year at Kansas, Logan, 2nd and 10 at the Edmonton 41. Just rushing 3 again, time and underneath the Tice, and does better that time. J.J. Ross first got it started, Taylor to finish it off, but not a first down, but works it down closer.
And again, this is Davis Alexander at his best. He's going to look to the right. He wants to get a vertical shot, little pump, come back to the left-hand side. Marco Dubois is not there. Okay, check it down underneath. On 2nd and long, if your quarterback can get through 3 and 4 progressions to set you up for 3rd short like this, like that is high-end processing stuff. It's not a fluke that he's 13-0. It's plays like that.
He got 9, so 3rd and 1, and second time this game, Dustin Crum is in short yardage. Doesn't get much push, I don't know. They grab him, Jalen Garnes is in. He needed a yard, We'll see where they spot this, but he did not get much of a push at all on that third down play.
I mentioned Jared Brinkman off the top. In these kind of conditions, it's your interior defensive linemen that have got to dig in, and whether it's throwing yourself at the bottom of the pile or being able to get a push, it starts in the very middle and then wrapping around the edge, as you say, Rod. Jalen Garn's coming to make the play, but you can't get any lower than that. Noah Taylor sacrifices himself at the bottom of the pile, and everybody else follows suit.
And Marsh, that is a turnover on downs. Crum couldn't get the first down. In fact, probably lost a half yard, or right around actually the 32. So about the same. Edmonton offense, bottom line, is back on the field now. So big turnover going the Elks' way. They take over outside the 30. They're down by 3, final minute of the first quarter. Off to the left for Austin Mack. Fajardo to Mack. How many times did we see that combination? A couple of years ago in Montreal, and again for a touchdown in their debut with Edmonton. Mack's debut a couple of weeks ago.
And again, Jared Brinkman, I highlighted on one side. The other defensive tackle, I think Mustafa Johnson's got to be massive against Justin Rankin. We haven't said his name all that much early on. Michael Alouette, leading tackler in the Canadian Football League defensively last year for the BC Lions, and he gets relegated to special teams where he goes and blocks the punt. And then Kabian Ento, I feel like he's the forgotten member of this defensive secondary for Noel Thorpe's group. He makes a lot of plays given the opportunity, ton of length on the edge.
Whistles out after the snap of the ball. On 2nd and 8, it was just a couple of yards picked up. Fajardo to Mack.
And that turnover on downs as well is
procedure. Edmonton number 53. It's a 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Interesting as Bordner gets the penalty called against him, but you think about the back and forth of the punts here, right? With a 3-0 game in the end of the first quarter. It's big returns by Mario Alford, a great punt by Joseph Zima, and increasingly you're getting backed up, and Edmonton's losing the field position battle. But a turnover on downs gains you an extra 20-30 yards that you have to try and take advantage of and eliminate penalties like that.
A much-needed reset for the Elks. However, they're in a 2nd and 13 now after the penalty, a procedure call. So here we go. Fajardo has all kinds of time. And he has a receiver over the middle in traffic. Austin Mack. Big catch in a crowd up near midfield and a first down, Edmonton.
Unbelievable. Hanging in the play was Delta, I believe. It was a little bunch concept we ran, Rob. Got to find a way.
Sharp memory. Here the Elks with the ball to start the second quarter after that big play to Mack. And that is first-year receiver. That is TJ Luther, taking it for another first down.
And Luther, the only receiver that caught a ball back in week 1 for the Edmonton Elks that was over 30 yards down the field, but he pays a price going around the edge on this one. Najee Murray back into the lineup. He's played 67 games, all of them for the Alouettes because of plays like that.
So here's Fajardo, faking to Rankin. Has time. And another completion. And the ball comes out, and did the Alouettes touch it before it went out? Looks like they did. Montreal football. Luther had it, took a hit, coughed it up, and it is the second-year safety, Nate Beauchemin, who's the last to touch it to give the Owls the ball.
Well, number 23 is 23 years old. He's the youngest Montreal Alouette. And I love this throw from Cody Fajardo, just being patient, deep drop. He thickens Luther back down so he can catch it easily, but then coming over the top and the conditions creating that one obviously with Burns, but how about the smarts on Beauchemin knowing to just punch it out of bounds?
Beauchemin secures the turnover, and it was Lorenzo Burns who wrapped Luther and forced that turnover right there. So Alouette football. Just as Edmonton had something going offensively finally, early second quarter, still just 3 points on the board. And in every possession, the Owls have been able to work their way into the Elks territory. They'll scrimmage just outside their 25.
Timeout, Montreal.
Davis Alexander, I think, was trying to convince Jacob Mason that he needed to be in a different location to set up the formation. So you hate that when you're flying off the sideline after a turnover. You get the call wrong or there's miscommunication in the huddle, but Montreal thankful to have possession to work with regardless. There's so much adrenaline when you get a turnover like this, Rod. You come off the sideline, it's like you're just trying to figure it out on the fly of exactly where people need to be, but that boost of adrenaline will carry through the entire roster as it has with the comeback victories from Montreal the first 2 weeks.
For Nate Beauchemin, starting at safety, he was a backup to Marc-Antoine Dequoy a year ago and drafted out of the University of Calgary. back here in Alberta, in Edmonton. The Alouettes leading, and Alexander completes that pass to Tyson Philpott. That's enough for another Montreal first down as they work their way up.
And the early trend here is heavy sets for the Montreal Alouettes up front, whether it's 6 offensive linemen, Jacob Mason coming in, Marco Dubois, as well as a slot back, fullback, H-back look. But go and play action off these heavy looks, just loading the box, and then finding ways to isolate Tyson Philpott on Tyrell Ford. Like, that is the theme so far in the Montreal passing attack. Going after one of the best Canadian defensive backs listed in the CFL top 50 players for us here on TSN, but Tyson Philpott getting work early.
And so is Travis Tice. Busts it outside and has a good pickup again. Tice is running well. That'll set up a second and short for the second-year running back Tice.
Banged up in week 1 against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Jamal Peters laid a thump on him. And Tice out but back in now, and the patience on the run, and also gotta love working his way around that left-hand side. Just the patience to know that if he waits out his blocks, they'll set themselves up. Sage Dockstader holding it down on the left-hand side that time for Tice to open him up.
They're still waiting for Stevie Scott to come back, their injured running back. But Tice, busy day, and not much there. He is greeted before the line of scrimmage. It's Jordan Williams in a pack there to deny number 5 to push him back and set up a third down for Montreal.
And Jordan Williams crossing face as that offensive line trying to hold off the big man, but he's in the backfield before Tiger Shanks, Marco Dubois, or Donnie Ventrelli on the right side of that line can do anything about it. Just the quickness off the ball that time, winning the rep.
Zima to punt. Pressure's there. They nearly got to him. Javon Lee, lone one back, and right at the sideline, they whistle it down. He stepped out after catching it. A 51-yard punt. Barely gotten away by Joseph Zima. Edmonton football. They were moving the last time.
In more than just a week 1 game.
For Mark Killam in his second year as the head coach in Edmonton. There's Justin Rankin. Ran so well against the Red Blacks 2 weeks ago, and that's his best carry of this game.
Yeah, TJ Luther working on the right-hand side this time. As you see 88 right there, he's going to work his way up to the second level, but it's the right side of that offensive line blocking down, and then again, just enough of a love tap that time on the edge. Wall Uguak, I think, making contact with Brendan O'Leary, Orange, the big body free agency addition. But I love how the receivers in both of these offenses work down the field, because they know the mentality is if they're going to be on the field, they have to.
Fajardo to throw on a 1st and 10. Underneath, that is caught by Skylar Griffith, the first-year fullback at a UBC, and another catch for him. He had one in the rain in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, they got long-term plans, I think, for Skylar Griffith that are going to see his touches go up over time, as he's a big body. They use him on special teams, work him in kind of slowly, get him used to the rhythms of the offense, but he fits what they do with the big bodies as they go short yardage.
Short yardage here. Looks like enough for the first down for Edmonton. And Cody Fajardo staying in to carry the rock.
And again, the going heavy is, yes, you can say it's because of the rain, but it's really just a mentality, whether it's Mark Killam or Jordan McSimic working with the Edmonton Elks, and then obviously Anthony Calvillo and Jason Moss for the Montreal Alouettes offensively. Is you go big, you show these heavy sets, you go play action out of it, or you just pound it right down the defense's throat.
So a 1st and 10. They're at their 34. They're down by 3. Mike Alway coming in, get the hands up. He got it off to Rankin, though. And Rankin, not just the carries, it's what he can do after those short passes and the yards after the catch with the flag coming out on that play.
This is a hard one for Jeffrey Canton-Arcou, is that he's trying to cover Justin Rankin out into the flats, but you're going to end up having the fire come off the edge over from this side, and as it does, you know, you widen the release, but now Canton-Arcou has got to track the whole thing down in man coverage. So, I mean, Justin Rankin, one of the best players in the Canadian Football League in the open field.
Tackle, Montreal number 9. We'll add 15 yards into play, and it's first down.
As announced by the referee Tim Croker, tack on 15 more on that horse collar tackle by Canton-Arcou.
I love when we were talking, as well as we see the horse collar tackle here at the end of the play from Canton-Arcou, just trying to catch up to Justin Rankin, which is not. He's got his hands on the top of the nameplate, which qualifies for the penalty. But I love this week when we were talking to Rankin, and he said, I don't train as a running back, I train as a football player, because my dad told me the more I could do, the harder it will be for teams to take me off the field.
So here come the Elks now. Inside the Alouette 50. Still looking for their first points of the game. And that one, a little bit of a mix-up. He wanted Luther, who wasn't looking back at his quarterback. It falls incomplete.
And this is vintage confusion up front from Noel Thorpe, defensive coordinator of the Montreal Alouettes. I absolutely love when you end up seeing just people flying off the edge. You see Michael Awe make his way around the corner. This time Skylar Griffith has to pick him up, but you also have extra couple of linebackers in the game. They're roaming around. And Candor Kua as well, I mentioned from him playing that middle linebacker spot. Yes, he's officially designated as being that guy in that spot, but of 121 snaps so far this year, he's only played 19 as a true middle linebacker.
From the 48, second down and 10, they've got him. First sack of the afternoon, it's Wesley Sutton, the boundary halfback, coming in on that play and takes Fajardo down, and Edmonton will have to punt.
And again, you start going through what Noel Thorpe is doing defensively and trying to line people up in strange places and personnel packages, 4 across the board up front. But you're going to end up seeing Wesley Sutton fly in from the secondary as they drop out a defensive lineman. And then you get Rankin matched up against the quickness. Nice little outside-inside move from Sutton for the sack.
So Julian to punt it again. And off the hop, Alford watches it bounce and picks it up at the 8th. Mario Alford, an Alouette once again, and tackled there, and a late flag too. And a late hit being called there against the Edmonton Elks, Tyshawn Black.
Much of that anymore.
Not as much, no. Well, there's Tyson Philpott on that hitch and turning it up too, and another first down for Philpott and the Alouettes as they get up to their 48.
I love the unquenchable thirst that Jason Moss has for trying to get the football to Tyson Philpott. Like, he is constantly underhydrated when it comes to getting the football to number 6. It's the best because he calls these plays, whether it's a screen or a called isolation slant route like earlier on in the first quarter. They just draw up so many different ways to get Tyson the football.
4 catches, 59 yards. He had 9 for 193 and 2 touchdowns last week in their victory over the Toronto Argonauts. Leading now, but just by 3. Low scoring here in Edmonton. Travis Tice, he takes a hit by Kobe Williams, but somehow he got past him, and finally Robbie Smith tackles him if he gets it to cross the 45, but still not much yardage to be had there for Montreal.
That's not going to be a fun one to watch on film for the Montreal Alouettes because they're trying to throw a bubble out here to Travis Tice. And Marco Dubois and Steve Ferdinand are both wandering down the field as a bunch of green and gold tacklers make their way the opposite direction, and you get a sense for the speed that Kobe Williams is playing with. So you say low center of gravity, Travis Tice, he bounces off the first, the second wave, but Montreal's receivers got to do a better job helping out.
Still lost yardage, just could have lost a whole lot more initially with Williams in. So 2nd and 11 now, Alexander rolling around, and he's just going to take off. Gets the midfield, tries to dive to get to a first down, and comes awfully close. Right near the yard marker.
Fights and fights and fights endlessly. Davis Alexander diving towards the marker to give them an opportunity, but he wanted to go to the left. Then he gets off of it, and then immediately what I love about this is Davis, can't really see it from this view, but he looks down the field to the deepest route possible. Some quarterbacks in scramble rules, they'll work short to deep. Davis works, as soon as he breaks in, he goes, where's the white jersey that's the furthest down the field that I can try and find? We just saw that from Chad Kelly in the first game of the day as well.
He has 2 carries for 20 yards. That's enough for a first down too, Marsh, to the Edmonton 52. Play action fake. And then off to the left, lofts it over, it's caught. Alexander Hollins bobbled it, hung on to it, has his first catch of this game. And Hollins, who spent some time with Edmonton, has another first down for Montreal.
Love this design from Jason Moss and Anthony Calvillo calling the plays. You're going to go 3 blockers back here, just a 3-man route. And then we see the climbing route. The great thing about this as he crosses the field from Alexander Hollins is watch the way that Davis just fades him to the open spot. It's like a pick and roll between Stockton and Malone where you just kind of throw it onto the high block and say, hey, you just go over there because it's open. I'll lead you. Don't worry. Trust me.
Just a nice soft toss over J.J. Ross. It works out. Down close to the 30 of Edmonton. Alexander again wide open over the middle is Sneed. Tyler Sneed with it. And yet another first down for the Alouettes.
And this is where you get a little bit of the Davis Alexander, Zach Collaros kind of feel where his, kind of releases is unconventional, but he just knows he has to get the football out. So even if he's leaning the wrong direction, his weight not where he wanted to be, his arm's not ready to throw, he'll just find a way to get the football out of his hands because he needs to. It's like a need-to-know basis at all times of when the football is coming out.
So he gets Snead involved. They're down to the Edmonton 16. Here come the Alouettes, up by 3, looking for more. Tice. He weaves his way through, finds the hole, works it down to the 5, and we've got yet another Alouette first down, a 1st and goal coming up.
And Nick Callender getting all the way up into the 2nd level on this one, but they're reading off this outside edge, and as soon as Davis Alexander sees that the end man on the line of scrimmage, whether it's Robbie Smith or the edge there, then you get Cyril Hogan St. Dom working to the 2nd level as well, and Joel DeBlanco. And again, being able to go right down that hash, like the first carry that we saw in this ball game from Travis Tice. When you can get vertical on 2 steps, it's money.
So 1st and goal, right around the 5-yard line of the Edmonton Elks. Davis Alexander out of the gun, back to Tice, right side, 3-2-1, touchdown Alouettes. The impressive Travis Tice show continues as we have the first touchdown of this ball game.
Everybody blocking down and just playing the numbers game on who wants to chase. And is there going to be anybody home at the end of the play to try and account for Travis Tice slipping out the back door? As DeBlanco dives inside, they lose gap control. Cordell Jackson one-on-one at the 1-yard line, and that's never going to work.
That's some great blocking up front. You talk about 7 plays, 78 yards in just under 4 minutes, with Travis Tice getting his first touchdown of this CFL season and having quite a day so far in the first half. Of the point after from Jose Matos Diaz. Had a 50-yard field goal earlier and has that point after there.
And having to run all the way down from the deepest defensive spot that Edmonton had in their lineup into the end zone. Can't get there in time for Travis Tice.
So here's Javon Leake and the kickoff return, taking it from his 10. And the Elks now in a 10-point hole on the Tice touchdown, making it a 10-0 Alouette lead.
We get a look at the touchdown drive from the Montreal Alouettes. First of the ball game here is everybody's been hanging 50, 60 points in the CFL through the first 2 weeks and a bit, but a bit of a slower start points per game wise. Montreal trying to play catch up, and it's all based on the decision making of Davis Alexander. Starts to get into a rhythm. Noel Thorpe starts to get into the flow of his defensive play calling, which sets the tone for the Alouettes roster, and then Tice punching it in at the end. But I love the way that when Alexander is kind of in his wheelhouse, he is
outside. Montreal, Edmonton number 81. 5-yard penalty remains, first down.
Little check down here, a little crosser there, a little sideline route. Now I'll use my legs. Now I'll take a shot down the field. Now I'll manipulate the line of scrimmage. We'll change personnel packages. Like Jason Moss has handed down his mentality to his quarterback, as he's always done. And I like the way that he kind of is imprinted on Davis Alexander. That, you know, when we're at our best, we're doing a little bit of everything.
And Edmonton starting 5 yards further back. Zach Mathis jumping early, so they had that offside call. So it's a 1st and 15 now. Back at the 32, Fajardo quickly to the right. And that is caught by Brendan O'Leary Orange, the ex-Ticat, with the ball up at the 41.
He's doing some of the dirty work. Easy completion inside towards the end of the first half. Run a little hook, tee it up. Fajardo, easy look off to his right-hand side. Just trying to see Michael Awe expanding, but gets a little bit too vertical. Opens up the throwing lane. Fajardo loves the easy completions underneath to set up second and manageable.
A lot of changes to that Edmonton receiving core from one year to the next, with Mack in and Josh Cephas too. Talked about Luther and O'Leary Orange, now with 2nd and 6. The pass again, deeper, deep shot to the right. Coverage is there off the fingertips and down. And they're playing out here with Boscheman with the football. We forced a turnover before, being the last to touch it for him. It headed out, and Montreal football now. A flag is out on that intention to Luther, but Boscheman again with the ball.
And that Montreal sideline fired up as you get a look at
During the return after the interception, made a foul, unnecessary roughness. Edmonton number 57. 15 yards out at the end of the play. First down, Montreal.
little help from his friends.
Wow. So that bounce around never touched the ground and scooped there by Boscheman on that pass intended for Mathis.
And again, like the thing that really creates this to me is Noel Thorpe confusing the heck out of the left-hand side of that Edmonton offensive line because he lines up with a bunch of people blitzing, bails them out, brings a blitz from the secondary, and so Fajardo says, I don't know what's going on over there, I'm just going to the right, and then throws it up into double coverage because you're just forced to go away from the confusing picture that Noel Thorpe is presenting.
And then a roughing penalty after that, unnecessary roughness, 15 more yards tacked on. So the Alouettes, 10-point lead, back to Travis Tice, scored the touchdown in this game, and they're already in the Edmonton zone, a short pickup on first down.
And when Nick Anderson hits people, he's not the one who goes backwards, ever. Just the way that he finishes every tackle reminds you exactly why when he came in the league. You might say, well, he's short of stature and he might not have the measurables to do this or that, and then you just watch him tackle and you go, yep, you know what, never mind.
And the 3-minute warning is given. And right now it's the Alouettes looking to improve to 3-0. They have the 10-0 lead late in the first half. One great thing about the CFL, that script can change in an awful hurry, can it?
Any given moment.
Here's Davis Alexander. Gets it to Tyler Sneed, one of his favorite targets. Gets up near a first down. Sneed with a big day. And their opener in Hamilton with a touchdown catch there, and another really long one for Montreal in their victory.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because Tyson Philpott goes for 193 last week against the Toronto Argonauts, and we very quickly forget that Tyler Sneed had 163 in week 1 against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So, I mean, those are their two main weapons. Cole Speaker's on the 6-game injured list right now, which is why they're kind of mixing and matching some of the other pieces. But if you're playing a game of NBA Jam 2-on-2 and you want to pick two of the best in the CFL, right now, Philpott and Sneed are right there.
They had an overall receiver back in 23. Fajardo was the quarterback at Austin Mack and Tyler Sneed. Well, there you go to Travis Tice at a very busy first half. And on that first down play, gets it down around the Montreal or Edmonton 30.
Mixing up in the backfield as well as we go with the two running back set, which Edmonton and Montreal do more than anybody else in the Canadian Football League, as Lawrence is in, and then they split Tice out and get him a quick screen. They're trying to go with the Tice passing game a little bit today. It's asking a lot of Tyler Sneed to be on the outside, battling one-on-one, whether it was against Ross or Cordell Jackson. But Jason Moss trying to show a couple of different cards. He's held close to the chest through the first couple of weeks of the season.
He's up at 74 yards combined. Travis Tice is in a touchdown. And that one, closest receiver there is Marco Dubois. That's the ex-Ottawa Red Black, but off the fingertips and down.
And again, I love the game. I love the concept because they're trying to catch your eye with Travis Tice flying out to the flats and then sneak Marco Dubois back into the middle of the field. And it's one of these things with Marco Dubois in his time with the Ottawa Red Blacks where I constantly wanted him to get more action on offense because you look at his frame and his build, his athleticism,
and his speed for his size.
Tenacious on special teams, and just can we get that guy on the field more? But sometimes it's a little clunky and awkward in those moments in the middle of the field in traffic. But I like that Montreal's trying to use him in new and different ways.
Jose Maltos Diaz has a 50-yard field goal in this game. This one to be put down just outside the 38. And they wondered about his health, if he'd be ready to go. They had Lewis Ward standing by, but he seems just fine.
He always flexes after making the... How do you flex the right leg that's showing it's actually healed? I don't know.
That was his trademark, and he started in Ottawa on the practice roster, backing up Lewis Ward. And as mentioned, Ward brought in just in case, but he seems just fine.
Lewis Ward kicking in an Alouettes jersey.
Yeah.
While Jose Maltos Diaz is on the field also kicking was a very strange sight pregame, but it was great to see Rick Campbell, who's with the Elks organization, go over and say hello to Lewis Ward. Obviously the Ottawa connection's there, but that guy's not going anywhere anytime soon, unless it's an injury.
Maltos Diaz from Monterrey, Mexico, took over from David Cote a couple of years ago, and he's been a stalwart there in the kicking game for the Alouettes. On the toss, left, turning it back up is Rankin. And a good pickup on first down late in this first half.
And they go with a quick toss here, and I think it was Bordner that actually got out to the outside. Might have been David Beard, and getting an opportunity to kind of kick out the edge, and then the eyes, the vision that you see from Justin Rankin as they kick out Bordner, they block down with Brendan O'Leary-Orange, and then all of us look at all those bodies out in front. Like that's we're throwing it back to the old Packer sweep in the Lombardi days when you're talking about that number of bodies on a quick toss in green and gold.
Mark Cordy comes on. They have 6 offensive linemen. The fullback Griffith is in, handing off to Rankin. He turns it back. They had him in behind, but he turns this up. A first down and more down to the Montreal 45.
Now what do we say off the top, Rod? Don't it doesn't really matter because Justin Rankin might just bounce it. He creates space here. They got all these moving pieces in the backfield. Mustafa Johnson misses up front, and the big man gives chase, but the speed of Rankin kicks in after the physicality. And obviously Montreal wanting a hold outside on Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, but I don't think there was quite enough there. It's just the fact that Rankin is impossible when he has that speed-power combo.
Rankin 33 yards rushing now. He had over 100 2 weeks ago in their first game of the season in Ottawa. 1st and 10 at the 45, looking for points before the break, turning it back again. Oh, Rankin making something happen as he gets it down to the Montreal 30, where once again they had him in behind the line.
So this is an 8-man box. There's 3 receivers that are available, and they decide to run the football, and I'm ready to start saying this is a mess. There's no way you should be running into the middle of this. But again, stop your feet. Should be a tackle for loss by 1, 2, 3 players. Reverse the field. Cody Fajardo does a good job getting out in front, and then it's just Rankin magic.
Donovan Manuel had a hand on him for a moment. A few Owls had a shot, but then the payoff down the road and another first down. Here come the Elks down to the Alouettes 31 now. Back to number 5. And gets the 4 more yards. Tripped up there by Mustafa Johnson, but he works it down around the 25 of Montreal.
Interesting personnel package there too. Mark Cordy in the ballgame, 6 offensive linemen. Skylar Griffith as well. The fullback is in. They shift Austin Mack to one side with TJ Luther. Then they move Griffith back the other way. Then they show kind of this ghost end around look from TJ Luther and just give you a simple little handoff inside to Justin Rankin. It's like the most eye candy you can ever imagine to confuse Montreal defensively. And it's a simple handoff for a solid game.
This is as deep as Edmonton has gone in this game, approaching the 25 of the Alouettes, down 13. Fajardo steps up under pressure, and he picks up some valuable yardage down around the 20, and looks like another first down here for Edmonton, or very close.
Fajardo, I think they were working a little 2-man game to the outside with Luther and Mack. They wanted to get a little rub and maybe a wheel down the sideline, but Fajardo battles to the very end of this one, takes the hit at the end of the play from Micah Awe, who stepped away in coverage. And waiting on the spot for it. Looks like they'll measure it, Rod.
Yeah, Tim Croker calling the sticks in. Have a measurement here on the carry by Fajardo. Very close on that second down play to a first down. And yeah, a touchdown for Edmonton would be awfully nice before the end of the half. Down by 13 here. And we looks like what, about an inch or two?
Getting to that point as well inside the score zone where teams in the CFL have been more in 2026 already than they were all of 2025 in terms of percentage. And the more work you get in the score zone, the more comfortable you get with taking these shots to the end zone and being willing to be daring. Fully expect short yardage package to plunge forward here, but once you're inside the 20, all bets are off at the end of the half for Edmonton.
It is Cole Snyder, the short yardage quarterback, who is in for Edmonton now on a 3rd and inches, approaching the Montreal 20. 105 and counting now until halftime. Get the first down, then think about getting into the end zone. Snyder doesn't get much, didn't need much. Looks like he got to about the 20, which is definitely enough. 52 seconds on the clock now.
Well, that's one of those as well, because it's their first time having to go short yardage in this season, where you work all training camp and every week in practice, and week 1, week 2 of, are we going to have to? And there's a moment of hesitation you can tell at the line of scrimmage where it's like, okay, now it's for real. Like Montreal's defensive line that's firing off the football is ready to go. And again, here we go. Open up the playbook. End of the half. You're down by 13 points at home in your home opener. You're 1-0, trying to go to 2-0 for the first time since 2019. What does Jordan McSimic have dialed in for Cody Fajardo?
Big moment, late first half for this Edmonton offense. Fajardo has time, off to the left, down near the 5, and good coverage from Boschman there on Austin Mack, and he got a hand on it, but it falls incomplete.
And love the idea of trying to get Austin Mack the football, but this one just took a little bit long to develop. He's going to cross the field all the way over here, and you slip O'Leary Orange out the other direction, and you can see it's a good matchup. They knew they wanted to go to Mack the other way, but when you have a defender who's kind of outside leverage as you're trying to cross his face all the way the other direction, if they would have snuck him out the back door clean, maybe, but great play on the football.
Tell you, Nate Boschman's had himself a half, hasn't he? Involved in 2 turnovers. The new starting safety for the Alouettes. 2nd and 10. Montreal 20. Off to the right. Keon Julian Grant trying to keep those feet in bounds. He does. And another first down for Edmonton.
Whether you want to call it a fly and die, a little hang route, whatever your terminology is, Keon Julian Grant, the master of just hiding along the sideline that time. Great pre-snap battle of the minds with Cody Fajardo against Noel Thorpe. Used to be practice reps. Now it's in the game for the first time with Cody getting an opportunity here at home to play against Montreal, but just taps that left foot down, sneaks the right one in as well.
And we have a 1st and goal at the 9. Here we go. 34 seconds till halftime. 13-0 Montreal. Elks knocking at the door. Pressure coming. Quickly gets rid of it to the end zone. Touchdown. Austin Mack has his 2nd in green and gold. A flag is out, but it doesn't look like it'll matter.
For the 2nd time this season, it's Cody Fajardo to Austin Mack.
Montreal number 23, penalties declined. Result of the play is touchdown.
In the back right corner of the end zone. This time it's at home against the team they used to play for in 2023. Fajardo going there the whole way, but watch the body control. There's no X's and O's on this. It's just a slot fade, getting tangled up one-on-one, going against Nate Beauchemin that had the interception earlier. And Austin Mack, so many times for the Alouettes, showed that kind of control. Now it's all in green and gold.
Cody Fajardo was saying how much this game means to the ex-Alouette Austin Mack, facing his old team for the first time. As you talked about, they made him a captain for this game. And it wasn't lost on him, the importance of it. A flag is out in the point after try.
I love Cody saying that his heart rate looked like he was going about 150 from like Monday. It's like the second he realized it was Montreal week for the first time getting to play against them. But again, just a simple slot fade, like being able to basically, Cody identifies, there's the coverage, let's go after this guy and just let Austin do what he does, which is find the football in the air and adjust to it.
It was a great combination with Montreal. They won a Grey Cup together with the Alouettes in 2023.
Montreal. Penalties declined. Convert is good.
So as Tim Croker says, the point after is good now, but Fajardo to Mack. Saw it with the Owls, we're seeing it with the Elks.
Love the little wide, and as soon as you get kind of inside, not even really that much of a stick. Like I say, this is just, that's school ball type stuff, right? Like you're playing with your friends, you're playing flag football, like Paul Lapolice and Team Canada, and all of a sudden you say, I want to go ahead and attack this player. And typically, you get a young free safety, 23 years old, Nate Beauchemin. You say, well, we can go after this guy and beat him in man coverage, whatever. I think they have a lot of respect for Nate Beauchemin. I just think they have more confidence in Austin Mack.
They combined for a touchdown in the Grey Cup back in 2023, and he made a ridiculous catch in that Grey Cup game, by the way, to start the second half on a 3-play drive that got them right back in it against Winnipeg.
The little back shoulder one, I believe it was, right? That they were kind of fading his way towards the far side stands away from the booth in Hamilton. And I love the way that Austin Mack is so unassuming, right? Like he doesn't have this massive, it's kind of like Kenny Lawler with the body control. It's like you just jump and you float and the body twists, and it's a great skill set to have, and it matches perfectly with the way Fajardo can locate the football.
Well, they let him go back in January before his bonus kicked in, and he said, he was fired up for this day against that team. Austin Mack, a touchdown against the Alouettes that has got Edmonton right back in it with a half-minute to go until halftime. Here's Mario Alford, the new returner for Montreal, and a good tackle as well. Daryl Jabome, 3rd overall pick in the most recent CFL draft, in on that special teams tackle.
I love seeing Jabome being able to make a play on special teams. They're starting to build up. It's part of the organizational growth here in Edmonton of, can you get, a Justin Pace, who's a Montreal native from the Queens Gales, and work him into the lineup as a backup linebacker that makes special teams plays. Same thing with some of the other younger guys that they've been able to draft the last 2 years. The depth drafting and finding a way to make plays on specials is huge in the CFL, and right now that's helping Edmonton get back into the rhythm of things.
By the way, the Elks had 5 first downs on that drive before. They had 5 before that all game. The Montreal ball, Travis Tice also had a very good first half, and the touchdown for the Alouettes. So you start thinking about, even with 18 ticks left, if they can have a big play and get close enough for the range of Maltos Diaz.
And I guess what is the range at this point with that right hip flexor that he's battled through going into week number 3, is they look like they'll,
well, he had a 50.
wave the white flag, but yeah,
But no, not thinking of that, evidently, as they'll be content to take the lead, a 6-point lead into the dressing room at halftime here at Commonwealth Stadium. Interesting first half. Alouettes really dictating things, but that late drive by Edmonton has changed the complexion of this game now. Alexander 10 for 17 for 114, had that touchdown toss to Austin Mack late in the first half. Back to Rankin. The same. Everybody in the studio, they got to run number 5 more. Well, that's a good way to start for the Edmonton offense.
I love Milt's thought process on that of like, you go in, they're going to take away our best guy, we got to work it. No, just give it to your best guy. That's all this is, right? It's down the hash once again, just hitting it north-south. And like Brendan O'Leary Orange doesn't touch anybody because the defensive end runs up the field. And you got Cody Fajardo bootlegging and they take away him, which, I mean, if you're going to run 2 people to nobody, Justin Rankin's going to take those numbers.
Well, Rankin is good at running in the rain. We saw that in Ottawa. He doesn't like it. Nobody does, but he can be effective. That's Keon Julian Grant. The catch and the run and a late flag coming out as he's pushed out by Jeffrey Cantin-Araku.
Yeah, looked like a hold out on the receiver that time, trying to spring Keon around the edge, which again, I like getting him the football in a variety of different ways.
10-yard penalty, remains first down.
And as Keon bounces out, I think you're going to see it just on the inside slot back, getting a hand hooked in. That's the outside. Yep, it was, looks like Austin Mack out there, but an excellent job of knifing, I will say, on the defensive back Burns that time, because as soon as you do that to a receiver who's trying to set himself up, he thinks he's just going to sit there and, you know, settle in, and all of a sudden you fly towards the football and force the issue.
So they're pushed back to the 38. It's a 1st and 20 now. Fajardo and the Elks. And throwing off to the left, and that is caught, and turning it up is Luther. TJ Luther, first-year Elks receiver, getting up close to the Edmonton 50.
Get an opportunity to see some of the screen game coming alive as the wind and the rain starts to filter its way back into the annoyance of Cody Fajardo to start off the second half. But look right, come back left, get it out. Justin Rankin gets involved in the blocking scheme, trying to sneak extra offensive linemen out in front down the field. Can't get there in time, but this Edmonton Elks team loves running screens just like Montreal does. Jason Moss, always been a part of his offense.
3 catches, 42 yards for Luther. He had 5 catches last week in Ottawa. Under pressure, Fajardo running around. He dumps it to Rankin, but he goes out to block for him. And a nice block on Micah Alway by Cody Fajardo. And a good run after by Rankin. However, there is another penalty.
Cody down the field. A couple of different times in this ball game, he's got out in front
Directional conduct
of Rank.
Montreal bench. 10 yards out at the end of the play. It's first down.
And Montreal maybe calling for a legal forward pass or something that the officials didn't like on the sideline there. Cody wearing it from Mustafa Johnson as well, but hey, if Seven's going to go for a jog down the field, he's free game.
Fajardo with the escort for Rankin there, and Jason Moss unhappy. They just got a bench penalty, if you will, objectionable conduct. So tack on 15 more. They're down to the Alouette 36. Opening possession of this second half. And a first down. Down 6, but a great place to go to work now, as it's in the hands of Rankin again. Finds some room, still going. Touchdown Edmonton. What a run by Rankin. And what a way to start the second half for the Edmonton Elks.
Jordan Murray just had the greatest unintentional block in the history of the Canadian Football League. He gets actually losing his edge right here, playing at right tackle. And Isaac Adeyemi Berglund is going to shift him. He ducks his head, he gets lost, but whoops. Now I'll take care of you, Mustafa Johnson. No worries. Just open up a little running lane for Justin Rankin. Then it's off to the races. This guy is a scoring machine. He had, coming into this game, 20% of the CFL's explosive rushing plays over the last year and a bit. Since 2025, he had 5 of the 20 across the entire league, and he adds to that once again here at home.
Point after try by Vincent Blanchard, and just like that, to start the second half, the Edmonton Elks have their first lead of this ball game. After a 5-play drive for 72 yards, half of that coming from him.
I think we saw that from a guy that's going into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame as well, announced just the last day or so, Sean Millington. Same idea, power, speed.
Great combination of the two. There's the other number 5 who's had a good day. Travis Tice had a touchdown in the first half, and he is on that kick return with the escort out, with some calling for a flag there against the Elks. But Montreal and Davis Alexander coming back on now, and for the first time in this game, they do trail by a point.
Justin Rankin, we've seen him have success here in Edmonton, but anywhere that he goes, points follow. And you might look at this and say, okay, 160, but 108 of them are indoor football league, and that, how weird is that and different? No, look at like university production. You're at Northwest Missouri State, he's going over a touchdown per game. Kent State is a good quality team that plays in those conference games. Like it's kind of inevitable, right? Like you put him on a football field, you put him in pads in any scheme, and he's just going to find a way.
And he looks like a natural running back, of course, but he was a receiver for a time too.
Well, I mean, they had him at receiver, and then they released him because he had a hamstring injury. They bring him back in 24 because G.R. Simon says, I need you to play running back. And then his third game with the team, he goes off for 17 carries and 100+ yards against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and they're like, yeah, you're the running back.
You might be good at this thing. Justin Rankin, the touchdown to put the Elks on top. It's a 2nd and 5 now for Alexander and the Alouettes. Inside their 40, throwing, caught, first down. That's Alexander Hollins with another catch in this game.
And this is a pure palm throw because it is pouring directly into the face of Davis Alexander right here. He totally changed his release on the football. If you watch his right hand as it comes out, you're going to see that this is basically just like it's like the old school Phillip Rivers shot put. Like, don't put your fingers on it. Make sure the ball is sitting directly in the bottom of the palm of your hand. As long as it gets there, it doesn't matter if it's ugly.
Well, let me ask an old quarterback. You played in conditions like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to change your approach no matter what, especially on plays like this where you're rolling away.
Throws it again. It's caught again. And Kasim Ferdinand, his 2nd catch of this ball game. Young Ferdinand's 2nd year out of the Carleton Ravens program with the rain pouring down.
But again, with Davis Alexander, like we just talked about how it was such a hard thing to just throw a little curl route. Now you're rolling to your left. You have to square up your hips and still get pace on the football. He's made some weird, wonderful throws early in this season where he's in a body position that just shouldn't get any pace on the football whatsoever. The Tyler Snead touchdown in week 1 against Hamilton was the same. Standing in the pocket, just has to rip it. And somehow it always seems to come out the right way.
And Ferdinand embracing his chance to get into some CFL action now. Mentioned a couple of catches in the first down carry. Nothing there for running back Shamari Lawrence with his first touch in this game. Lawrence that got more reps a couple of weeks ago against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, Lawrence doing a good job filling in. A little bit of pop and experience, trying to settle himself into what the CFL game is all about. But again, Nick Anderson in the middle of that defense, being able to fire downhill in between the guard and the center. He sniffs things out so quickly. His eyes are so good at identifying these CFL run concepts and attacking.
Not much of a game there. Still 2nd and 10 now. Alexander flags out, heats on, gets away, tosses it deep for Hollins, just beyond the reach. Falls incomplete. Mentioned a flag out much earlier.
Procedure. Montreal number 15 was moving at the snap. Collins Clyde. It's 3rd down.
It might be good that it fell incomplete because that one would have hurt more for Hollins if he would have been making the big diving catch and missing it. But I love as well Davis Alexander, like his dad was a rugby player, and when he breaks the pocket on this play, he tucks it like he's running, and he looks like someone's just breaking free, but then immediately his mentality switches back to find the deepest target possible.
And so Joseph Zima to get it away inside his 50. A little more heat on him as well. The Elks have been doing that, and Leak watches it roll, and that's a wise decision. It goes into the end zone and rolls.
Man, it's June. What's up with this rain? Well, yeah. Justin, here's the hardest rain of the day, and you got the football again.
I was going to say, he doesn't seem to mind it. He does mind it. He told us that. He hates it. But he seems to do well in it, like he did in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago.
The way he was talking about it, you'd think he was like a California kid or something that just despised having to play in anything other than, perfect 80 degrees and sunshine or whatever. But, yeah, he says he wants to make people miss in the open field, not run through them. And when you're playing in the rain, you kind of got to run through people. He says, I just do it because I have to, because I can, not because I want to. I choose to play this game a certain way, but the rain demands a certain style.
Now 105 yards on the day on the ground. Fajardo Being chased there by Mustafa Johnson. Cody Fajardo with the carry for the first down. Keep this drive going for the Edmonton Elks.
Yeah, twist up front. They kind of run themselves out of their pass rush lanes here as Isaac Berglund ends up kind of flowing himself down inside. You got loopers coming this way and all the rest. And as Fajardo breaks out, it's just an impossible assignment downfield for Najee Murray because Fajardo's going to outrun Mustafa Johnson. But as soon as Murray turns his back, I mean, the rain and the wind is at the back of the Elks right now. It's driving, but certainly changing the feel of this offense. And now this one slides out of the hand of Fajardo.
That's Luther, TJ Luther. He got up after the catch. They were scrimmaging right at midfield, and he's got a good pick up there for a second and short coming up.
And Rankin did say to us about the game in Ottawa. He said the raindrops were huge. I've never played in a game that wet. I guess he hadn't played in Edmonton for a home game in 26.
He didn't have to wait long, did he? To find something either comparable or worse with this rain just still beating down. They're trying to get the ball out of the hands of Luther there as he was down when he caught it, but got up. And they mark it after an 8-yard pickup. So a 2nd and 2 ahead here. Momentum has really swung since late in the first half in favor of the home side. Play action pass coming here. Fajardo, and tied up was Mack. Got tied up with an Alouette defender. A few complaints about that, but he heads back 3rd and 2 here.
And this one's going to hurt for Cody on film. It doesn't matter if you're watching the end zone cut or the all 24 or whatever. Like, and you can see his hand. He's saying, "Sorry, man. I thought you were going to go high." Cody was thinking that Austin Mack was going to come out and run it this direction, but he ends up throwing it too high as Mack runs it thick all the way across the field and just not on the same page. But also, the bigger problem more so than the rain when you're running a route like that and trying to be on the same page, even if you have great chemistry like Mack and Fajardo do, the wind just pushing the football around here at Commonwealth.
This is a 3rd and 2 at the Montreal 47, so a big 3rd down try here to Rankin. He breaks free and he gets the first down and more. Much more. Rankin does it again. Rankin in the rain and another Elks touchdown.
Magic from Justin Rankin. Endless amounts of magic. Great job by Cody Fajardo playing through it. But in the backfield, if you're Montreal, you're all over this. They fly it down. You're thinking, well, I'm just going to hand it off and we're good, but the numbers aren't there. You make Najee Murray miss. Then you make Isaac Berglund miss. Then Fajardo gets just enough of Murray. Out the back door goes Rankin. And we've talked about the power to speed combination. If you can beat a defensive lineman with your quickness, you can run through the arm tackle of your outside linebacker, defensive back in Najee Murray, and then you can outrun the rest of the defensive backs as the extra point here gets chopped wide.
Yeah, it was bobbled on the hold in the rain. You could tell slick football trying to get it down, but no. So the kick goes wide, but it's a 7-point lead by Edmonton nonetheless. Justin Rankin made a point of telling us he hates the rain. Had him in behind the line of scrimmage. That play, by the way, that was a 3rd and 2.
Yeah.
Goes 47 yards for the touchdown. Rankin with 4 carries for 99 yards in the second half. Here we are, barely halfway through the 3rd quarter. Here's Mario Alford on the kick return. And a great tackle. Coming in there, that's Richard Gibonor inserted into the lineup for Edmonton, and a great special teams play.
Great play by Gibonor there, fighting off the block. But, I mean, yeah, the thing that's frustrating about this for Montreal is it's 3rd and 2. You get to the line of scrimmage. You get the right call in. You defend it properly. And then Rankin just completely negates all of it.
Hey, Sammy, you trying to win, huh? You know that. You trying to win. You know that. Come on.
Yeah, trying to win. Doing a good job of it here in the second half. Right now, they're up by 7. So challenge for Alexander, barely gets it away. Oh, coming across and nearly with the catch was Sneed. Another receiver looked to be the target. Tice downfield. Sneed coming across. And both may have had a shot at it, but it still falls incomplete.
Yeah, Tiger Shank's doing what he can at right tackle, but he ends up washing Malik Carney essentially right into the middle of the play. You're going to see Carney get pushed and then end up going all the way up the field here. And so Davis Alexander breaks the pocket, which quarterbacks tend to have a bit of a love for doing when the conditions get wet and rainy like this, because you just feel like you need to escape and go find something down the field. But I'll be honest, if we get a chance to watch Davis play school ball for the next quarter and a half, I'm in.
Here we go, 2nd and 10. And it sets up a screen to Tice. Breaks a tackle. Tell you, these number 5s are having pretty good days in this rainy field at Commonwealth.
And Travis Tice, not one of those guys since he's been in the CFL that you think of in the upper echelon of running backs, right? It's the Dietrich Mills, the Brady Oliveras, and Justin Rankin. You know, you mix in Greg Bell in that conversation. But Travis Tice, if he's going to be this central to what Montreal is doing, game plan specific, maybe weather specific, maybe, but he's shown the ability to make plays out of the backfield in about 3 or 4 different ways today that we haven't seen a lot of in his time in the CFL.
Well, he got enough to make it a 3rd and about a foot away now for the Alouettes. So trailing now in this ball game after leading most of the way. Dustin Crum is in short yardage. And a time count. And what a time to take it to end any thought at all of going for it on 3rd down. So Zima's going to have to come on. They're going to have to punt this ball away.
It feels like Montreal was so frustrated by the spot of the football.
Montreal has called a timeout before the time count violation. Timeout, Montreal.
Okay, well, there you go. So they might have a shot at the 1st down now.
Yeah, they took a little bit of extra time getting the personnel package in to go in short yardage because they were kind of in discussion with where maybe they thought it should have been a 1st down in the first place. But regardless, the timeout, and they'll set up again. But again, deep in their own end here, just trying to regain a little bit of momentum as Edmonton's offense is rolling with Rankin all of a sudden.
Just an onslaught that started in the final drive of the 1st half for Edmonton. Down 13-0. The drive capped off with a touchdown pass from Fajardo to Austin Mack. And they have scored 20 unanswered in this game. Great start here in the 3rd quarter. Well, Crum keeps it. So after the timeout, they go for it and get the 1st down.
Again, the Montreal offense combined 67 points in the game against Toronto last week. 900 passing yards all the way. Just a completely different requirement and feel of game, but you expected that because these are the 2 teams that play the most with 6 offensive linemen, run the most play action run, they screen pass the most in the Canadian Football League. So Montreal having to show a completely different side of themselves here today, but trying to answer the bell.
Well, they answered it in Hamilton in week 1 and against Toronto. They've come back twice to win it. There's a pass again to Tyson Philpott and a good yardage after the catch to pick up another Alouette 1st down.
And again, if you can't throw it down the field, the wind and the rain is into your face, then why not get it to Tyson Philpott as they're going to cross here with Lawrence, and then I love this release from Davis Alexander. 1 step, rip, on target, upfield shoulder. You get your receiver in space. Offensive line downfield trying to help out as well. Donnie Ventrelli ends up sliding his way across the turf at the end of that one. But any way you can get Philpott the ball, it's likely going to end in a 1st down.
Up to the 47 now, the Alouettes. 3.5 minutes to go till 3/4 time. Deep down the right and knocked away nicely by Cordell Jackson in close coverage there on Philpott. Good defensive play, Edmonton.
Coming into this ball game, Tyson Philpott 3 of 3 on contested catch opportunities, led the Canadian Football League in that metric, and this one will go down as a victory for the Edmonton defense. And Alexander trying to stretch it almost a little halfway between the back shoulder and trying to throw him upfield.
Well, we've seen with that combination so far, when it's Tyson Philpott, even with someone all over him, it's still a catchable football.
Absolutely.
So 2nd and 10 now. Getting away from the rush, taking off to the left, and throws on the move, and it's out of bounds, incomplete. Intended targets there. Ferdinand was there and Philpott. To no avail. They'll be punting, and then a little exception taken there. Alexander to Jordan Williams.
It was a nicer conversation at the end of the 1st half, right?
Yeah.
That one a little bit more intention behind it, I would say, but it is raining sideways, and it is not sideways in favor of the Montreal Alouettes right now. Alexander and the offensive line fighting for every little ounce of turf that they can claim, but the conditions are just brutal when you're going into it, and Edmonton trying to take advantage here for the next 2.5 minutes.
They'll get the ball back still with time. You're right, a dominant 3rd quarter by the Edmonton Elks. Lee comes in and looked like no yards there, but he does push it up across the 35. And don't see a flag out on that return by Lee. Fajardo and the Elks, and a whole lot of Rankin.
Spirits after receiving his ring and the honors. So good to see Dwayne Mandrusiak, who Jason Moss said is the first guy he thinks of when he thinks of this organization.
Oh, Tom, yeah, first guy a lot of them think of. And tell you in this game, Rankin with the Alouettes defense is thinking of trying to find a way to stop him. But that is a great story about Dwayne Mandrusiak. Part of the identity, you know, Marcia, this organization going back to the early 70s and all the glory years of then the Edmonton Eskimos and now the Edmonton Elks.
Yeah, the amount of work it takes to be an equipment manager in the Canadian Football League. Like I've talked to Drew Stoshine that works for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He's like, yeah, you know, we load up the truck and then we got to travel and then we do this and then we tear down and then we set it for the players and they never. And it's like, man, you think about the amount of time that you have to spend to care enough to make sure every player is taken care of, that the organization is in the best shape possible, that when people show up, their gear is exactly where it's supposed to be, when it's supposed to be there, as they wish for it to be. Dwayne did that for forever.
For 50 years.
That's unbelievable.
It's just remarkable, everything that's happened. And for those that don't know or remember, back there was no organization as dominant as that organization in the late. They won 5 straight Grey Cups from 78 to 82. They were, you know, inspired the name at the time, the City of Champions, and along with the Oilers later on. But what a important figure in the history of the Edmonton Football Club, Dwayne Mandrusiak. You saw Rankin before, and this play is not going anywhere, but it was a 1st and 10 at the Montreal 51.
It's nowhere near as impressive as Dwayne Mandrusiak, but I will say that Tom Gazzola being down on the sidelines and holding onto the umbrella in this rain and wind, if we turned him the other direction, it would have been a sequel to the movie Up, where the young boy would have floated away up into the clouds, I think.
Where's Tom gone in the rain?
That is incredibly impressive to hang on to the umbrella down there in these conditions. It is.
I was going to say easy for us and the comfort up here in the booth and sheltered, but way to go, Tom, and keep a good tight grip on that umbrella. The rain coming and going, coming hard at times. And the Alouette 52, Fajardo throwing off, going up and getting it and hanging on to it. Despite being hit hard, is Josh Cephas, one of the new receivers for Edmonton with his first catch of the game, and it is a big one. He took a hit from Lorenzo Burns, who's still down.
Yeah, I think this might have been friendly fire. Was it Micah Awe that was flying out for middle linebacker? And you see the out stick, and then Cephas is going to bend it back in, and Awe is going for the shot, and unfortunately, looks like 20 catches it from his own guy that time, but what a throw from Fajardo to Cephas, and again, back spiraling, and yeah, just clipped, and you heard the pop in real time. And always sitting there to look over his guy. One of the hardest hitters in the Canadian Football League, and when the angles of football are inevitable when you're flying out for middle linebacker. Sometimes that is going to happen, but you can see the expression on Jason Moss's face, just concerned, because he knows that when Awe hits, it's never a light dose.
Renowned hard hitter Mike Awe coming back to the Alouettes this year and getting the start with the injury to Tyrese Beverette. They juggled things at linebacker. Awe had a great play in special teams last week in a big block punt that ended up being a Montreal touchdown. So good to see Burns, the starter in the boundary corner, getting up after, as you say, friendly fire from Awe, and after a great catch by Cephas in his first year out of University of Texas San Antonio.
It likely means Don Callis comes into the ballgame, or we could see Jonathan Sutherland get an opportunity here as well. Listed as the backup free safety behind Nate Beauchemin, who's taken all the reps at that position early on this season for Montreal.
Well, the bottom line is Edmonton on the move. The last 3 drives before this, 9 for 70 yards, 5 for 72, 5 for 70, all touchdowns, and here they come again. Back to Rankin, trying to feel his way through. He does not give up, but that time he just can't get away. They got him down low. The tackle was Corey Roberson, who had him wrapped up and on his feet.
This time, to me, it's a little bit of hesitation from Jeffrey Canton-Arcuz coming off the edge, and because of the touchdown that was scored where Justin Rankin ran away from Najee Murray and Isaac Adeyemi-Bergling, you can almost tell Canton-Arcuz kind of comes off the edge and he's like, do I even bother diving down in? Do I stay patient? On the idea of having to block down field and take care of business, but they can tag another 3 on here and start to make this a little bit of a grind for the Montreal Alouettes to get home.
The 4th quarter begins. Vincent Blanchard will try a field goal just across the 35 to see if he can make it a 2-score game. And that momentum for the Elks continues. That is 23 unanswered points. After trailing 13-0, they now have a 10-point lead over the Alouettes. Well, the 2026 FIFA World Cup will continue tomorrow. Spain taking on Saudi Arabia. That's at noon Eastern time, and then Belgium faces Iran at 3, followed by Uruguay versus Cabo Verde at 6 Eastern time. The day will wrap up at 9 Eastern. New Zealand taking on Egypt. That's live from Vancouver. You can watch all the matches on TSN, CTV, and Crave. I should have let you in earlier. Should have let. How about Canada? How about the 6-0 victory over Qatar? Unbelievable. And there's Ferdinand in for the Alouettes at receiver, and he has his 3rd catch, and that one's for a first down for Montreal, just across midfield.
I love seeing Ferdinand getting some love in this offense with Cole Speaker out, Jared Stearns out as well, and this is the reality of the Canadian Football League, right? If you're going to get your opportunity, you got to make the most of it. And he hasn't had many chances, hadn't had a catch before coming into this game in his young CFL career since coming out from the Carleton Ravens program, and they got to be proud of him back in Ottawa, watching the way he's performing right now on the road in Edmonton.
Mentioned, you know, his family's very proud. He never got to see his father, Denny, who played in the CFL for 8 years, who passed away, sadly, before Kasim and his twin brother were born. But to see him out on the field now in the rain in Edmonton and catching passes, that's intended for the fullback Jacob Mason falling incomplete.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable story to think that the familial connection to the Canadian Football League, and despite not being able to actually meet your father, to play in the Canadian Football League. And I mean, you see a little 6-yard completion, whatever it is, over the middle, and the average fan goes, oh, whatever, it's a nothing play. But that's not a nothing play to him to be in this game.
3 catches today, Marsh. They're the first 3 of his CFL career. Amazing. His father, Denny, played for the old Montreal Concord, the Ottawa Rough Riders, the Saskatchewan Rough Riders as well. From the Edmonton 53 in a 2nd and 10. Alexander to the right. It is caught by Alexander Hollins down at the 30. So down 10 all of a sudden. Here come the Alouettes.
And I love the route combination on the outside here. It took a lot of time and development, but Tyler Sneed ends up kind of running vertical as he shifts out there from Malik Carney. Fakes the little out route, sticks back to the inside, but on the outside it's a comeback route. Lots of time from the offensive line. You see inside goes Sneed, draws some coverage, and then Hollins just kind of hiding along that sideline, and here comes Montreal once again.
Alouettes, rain driving down at Commonwealth to the Edmonton 30, trying to swing the momentum back. They have been under siege since late in the first half. Getting it to Tice. And a great tackle by Malik Carney after only 2 yards, as Alexander was under some heat and checked it down to Tice, but only a couple.
Interesting one about this play to me is that Nick Anderson, a middle linebacker, wanted to check the play after Davis Alexander caught them with his fake snap cadence. DA wants to go deep over the top. He's pumping. He's looking down the field. He eventually goes check down. J.C. Sherritt stepped out onto the field in his 2nd year as defensive coordinator and actually told Anderson, pump the brakes. Don't change anything. We have the right call on. Leave it. J.C. was right.
Sure was. It's a 2nd and 9 now. That's it. They got for Tice. There's pressure coming now. Alexander. And under the heat, he throws it away. And so a 3rd and 9 is coming up. And another player down or slow to get up.
A little skirmishing behind the play that time. Some linemen getting tangled up in the wet conditions at Commonwealth, but a good defensive stand that time by J.C. Sherritt, his defense.
So Jose Maltos Diaz comes on, and 2 for 2. Yeah, he had that 50-yarder back in the first quarter to get things started, and this much closer. Zima to put it down just inside the 37 to get them back to within 7. Flag out with the snap of the football. Kick is good. Wait for the call.
Might have been good from 60 with the wind in his back.
Yeah.
That thing was hammered.
Well, there were concerns about the health of Maltos Diaz with a groin injury last week. He missed an extra point late against the Argonauts. Was hurting all week, missed some practices. They brought in Lewis Ward just in case. He came here, he dressed. He was in warm-up just in case they needed him. But yeah, Maltos Diaz just seems to be fine now. Waiting for some clarification. The way things are lined up, they're going to need to kick this again. Maltos Diaz still on the field.
Yeah, the Montreal kicking unit started to wander to the sideline. And now back towards the field they come.
There's no foul on the play. The play was killed. Repeat third down.
So no penalty, but the field goal doesn't count because they'd already blown things dead, so they will have to try it again.
I'll say this, if Jason Moss was the head coach here in Edmonton and that happened, he'd probably lose his mind. But this is the development of Jason Moss as the head coach. Just goes, okay, just kick it again. Just put it through. It's fine.
Moss was the head coach here from 2016 to 2019, 4 seasons, and he himself talks about it, how much more an emotional guy to begin with he was his days with Edmonton. And Maltos Diaz, ho hum, just steps up and does it again. Give that right biceps a flex. 3 more on the board. 7-point game, and the Elks to get the football back with a touchdown lead, 4th quarter here at Commonwealth.
Make the move and grow and change, and Moss has certainly done that in his next opportunity here in Montreal.
Okay, back to Justin Rankin. What a game, what a half he's had. Rankin with that carry to get it up to the 45. But yes, with Killam trying to reestablish a winning culture here in Edmonton, and they got 1 W and looking for number 2 tonight. Look at the 3rd quarter numbers for Justin Rankin.
He is just unstoppable once he gets into that rhythm. He's got that combination of, you know, almost the power of like a Mike Pringle. He's got the dance moves to get out in the open space. You never know which 7 types of smoke he's going to throw at you, but he's got them all.
2nd and 5 now. Fajardo has time as he rolls to the right, now being chased and lofts it off, and no, out of bounds. Touch there by Bubba Bolden, but incomplete 3rd down coming up.
As Moss watches on with his offense ready to get the football back inside 11 minutes remaining down a touchdown, you start thinking about the fact that he had to come into the organization in Edmonton where he trusted the people that were around and thought it was the perfect opportunity, the ex-quarterback, and he wanted it so badly, but his journey needed to take a different shape. And how special would it be for him to come in with Davis Alexander, who he chose with Danny Machocha to take over for Cody Fajardo, and if Davis can lead another game-winning drive just like he did last week against Toronto.
And this is after the first 2 and out by Edmonton this half. The punt by Jake Julian and Mario Alford. Another good return after a 53-yard punt by Julian and Alford. But I assume that's why you sold your...
I work all summer.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were going somewhere that you bad at golf like I am. That's caught by Philpott. Puts the head down, takes a hit, but moves it along for first down. That's Jalen Guards on the tackle, but not before a Montreal first down.
You're watching the 5th Tyson ever drafted in the Canadian Football League as Philpott rolls underneath, makes the grab, consistent as ever. In honor of Dwayne Ford, I have to ask you a draft trivia question.
Okay, here we go.
I'll let it linger. Despite being the 9th overall pick, there were 2 other Tysons taken higher than Tyson Philpott. Think that one through. We have the answer coming up.
The run by Travis Tice keeps chugging, gets across midfield and close to another Montreal first down.
Love it, pounding the rock right now, the right-hand side of that offensive line. The extra offensive lineman is in. Sage Dockstader was let go by Toronto after they waited him out. Comes here to Montreal. You got Jacob Mason, the fullback out of McMaster, pounding it on the right-hand side as well. And Travis Tice running with a little bit of a different speed today. He's got an extra gear.
.03 to go, 4th quarter. Faking to Tice that time, completing that one to Sneed. The ball comes out before he's down, and Edmonton has it. Garns recovers. Oh, big turnover going Edmonton's way. And it looked like another first down for Montreal, but coughed up by Sneed. Just as the Owls are getting their momentum back, it gets ripped out by J.J. Ross. Edmonton football and a 7-point lead. Yeah, we could have some drama here, Laura, before this is all said and done. Approaching the halfway point of the 4th quarter, Edmonton ball and turning around. Back shoulder. That's Brendan O'Leary Orange. Waits for it and a big first down for the green and gold.
Back-to-back massive plays. You get the punch out, you recover the fumble, and then You get the 3 receiver side where you're showing that little quick screen look, and then down the sideline they go. But Cody intentionally back shoulders this because he doesn't have leverage to throw it up the field against Arthur Hamlin, who's in, because the injuries in the secondary right now for the Montreal Alouettes. Such a smart spot to put the football, just hanging out by the sideline into the wind and rain.
They've had injuries to both corners, Kavion Ento and Lorenzo Burns. Now running the football, the Elks are with Justin Rankin, who's had a second half for the ages so far as he gets that just around the Montreal 50.
And Cody did say as well, coming out of week 1 in Ottawa, that when they wanted to salt away the game in the 4th quarter, they had a really hard time doing it, and it was a point of emphasis for them coming out of the bye week. He said it was kind of hard to self-scout, which is when you go back through and look at exactly what you did during a bye week, because it was bad weather, because it was week 1, because there was really no film on anybody. But he said that's the one thing we zoned in on, was if we have a lead and we need to run the football, and they know we want to run the football, how do we do it more effectively? That time Montreal was all over it on first down.
2nd and 7 now after the 3-yard pickup by Rankin. Some heat coming. Bubba Bolton in. They set up a screen there to Rankin. But the Alouettes defense swarms at that time. Robert Kennedy coming in. Isaac Adiemi Berglund with the tackle as well. 3rd down ahead here for Edmonton.
So impressive by Najee Murray on this play. I know he's not the one that makes the play at the end, but he kind of forces the play back inside. He's going to come off the edge right here, turn, run, and chase. And when he does, he gets, a little chip on Rankin, then recognizes the play because he's like, why did Rankin leave all of a sudden? The alarm bells go off, turns and runs and chases back into the play. And when you have people following that closely behind, it's like back checking, right? In hockey, they can't turn it back the other direction.
Jake Julian back at the Edmonton 47. Mario Alford back for the return. His first game back with the Alouettes. They brought him in this week. Drops the ball! Edmonton's got it! Oh, what a break for the Elks! As Alford couldn't find the handle. Celebration in green and gold. That's Cornell Jackson with the football.
Yeah, this one hurts. If you're Mario Alford, you get an opportunity. Come back to Montreal. Number 1 job of the returner, obviously. Secure the possession, let your offense go to work. Davis Alexander wants a chance to have a game-winning drive. But Cornell Jackson, which, by the way, top defensive plays made in 2025 for a defensive back. And here he is grinding away in the 4th quarter in the rain, the slop, the wind. Early in the season on special teams, you have to love that. That's kind of the culture that Mark Killam's been trying to institute the last year and a half.
Well, we've seen some plays where the slick conditions have been factors, but none bigger than that. It has set up the Elks at the Montreal 11, leading by 7, looking for more. 6:14 on the clock in the 4th quarter. Here's Rankin, searching his way through, inside the 5. Rankin running patiently and found an opening, and he gets it down for a good pickup and a 2nd and short coming up.
There's a really small move in this run by Justin Rankin that you have to appreciate. Just watch it closely because it should be a yard or 2 gain, right? Counter, he gets outside, cut inside. It's this move right there. That little hesitation, he kind of freezes the backside of the defensive line and then knifes forward and picks up another 4 or 5 yards on the play. That's how you get it down to the 4 instead of playing with 2nd down from about the 8 of the 9.
Well, it's almost goal to go. It's actually a 2nd and 3 at the 4. So they could get a first down without getting it in. Thinking touchdown. Rankin. And stuffed up nicely. Good work there. Donovan Manuel, 46, a part of the trio of Alouettes, in on the stop of Rankin to force a field goal situation.
Yeah, this is one of those where Montreal says, we understand that's your best player on offense. We understand he's made us look silly a couple times today. He's not scoring here. We're not giving him a 3-touchdown game that can be talked about on SportsCenter later. We're going to stack the box and force you to try to do something else, or have Rankin just do an absolutely ridiculous escape from 8 defenders, so it leads to a field goal attempt.
And points off the turnover. An attempt here for Blanchard. All important points as well. They didn't get the touchdown, but those 3 make it a 2-score game again. 4:43 on the clock. 4th quarter in Edmonton, and the Elks trying to start 2-0. Have a 10-point lead over Alexander and the Alouettes. Best case scenario for the Owls to force a 2-and-out here on 2nd and long. It is caught. Rankin, and more good work. That's Quentin Arcou to limit the damage here. It's a 3rd and long coming up, and the Elks are going to have to give it right back with still plenty of time for the Alouettes to see if they can either drive down and at the very least tie it, perhaps even win this game.
Yeah, eyes to the sky from Cody Fajardo after that one, as you just know that he's hurting, realizing, oh, we got to punt it. We got to get rid of the football again. Davis Alexander's going to get the football back, and he's going, I know that guy too well. I know that he's going to take shots. I know that they still have a chance because we couldn't convert. Took the right throw. I think it was the right read, but it's just Edmonton's offense in tough, closing out games.
Back in week 1, the Alouettes had a late field goal to tie it, force overtime in Hamilton, and then got a turnover and won it at Hamilton Stadium. Here's Mario Alford. He fumbled the last one. He picks this one up. He takes off after a 50-yard punt by Jake Julian. Gets it up near the 30. So can they...
Wide open for Davis Alexander.
From the Edmonton 54. Off to the right. Caught by Tice. Takes a hop. Stays in bounds a little longer. Some much-needed yardage. Critical at this point, as they're at the very least trying to get in Maltos Diaz's field goal range.
Alexander looked at the officials, confirming clock and timing situation and saying, okay, we got time to huddle up, call this thing in. Is out to the flat routes. See Travis Tice slipping and keep Marco Dubois in as a pass protector, but then the athleticism over the top, one leg skip, hop and a jump.
58 yards is the career long for Jose Maltos Diaz. Within that range, he's a 50 in this game. Back to Tice. And up the middle and head down again. And another first down on that 2nd and short.
Oh, and Tice is down and is going to need some assistance.
Just under a minute.
Tremendous afternoon that he's had.
Down just yet. They're in field goal range, scrimmaging inside the 25. 21 seconds on the clock. Does he take an end zone shot? No. Tice back in. Good to see he's okay. He picks up a couple of yards, but we get 3rd down coming up here, and these Alouettes, they like their drama, don't they? With their trusted kicker feeling well enough to kick in this one. A big one to force overtime. Up and through. Zeros on the clock and 26s on the board.
Down 10 with a few minutes to go. Davis Alexander